Hello, everyone. I I made a promise to myself yesterday that I wouldn't do any work today. That I wouldn't, like, outside of like, it was a meeting I had to participate in that was scheduled with some people I'm doing some work for and stuff like that. But outside of that, no work. Just take some time to myself, to consider myself, to, you know, keep track of my own feelings and stuff. And I was holding on to that pretty well. Like, I haven't done, like, there's so much. There's the KDA video from Blizzard that I really want to talk... not from Blizzard, from League of Legends that I really want to talk about. There's all this stuff from BlizzCon, which is from Blizzard, where I do want to talk about Ashe, the new Overwatch hero. I do want to talk about those animated shorts that they put out for both Warcraft and that. And I there's so many things I want to talk about them. But today, I had to tell myself, no. It can wait, even though, like, yeah, it can wait. You have to take care of yourself right now. You have to be alone with your feelings for a while, which, of course, is the thing that I'm trying to avoid being. Not consciously, but emotionally. My coping mechanism when dealing with strong, powerful emotions is, okay, I'll just distract myself from them and pretend like they're not happening and they don't exist, which is a terrible coping strategy, but that's nonetheless the one that my brain is sort of wired to default to. And so I really wanted to just bury myself in work and do a million videos and stuff like that, but I had to take, you know, a little bit of charge of myself and say, no, we're not doing that. But here I am anyway, making a vlog. A little play Castlevania and talk, let's play vlog kind of thing, I guess. And I felt weird about doing that because I had made this promise not to make any content today. #content. But, I mean, it's like 11 p.m. right now as I'm recording this, so it's pretty late in the day. But I also... yesterday, when I was just doing this thing, this exact same thing, playing Castlevania and just talking, that... it helped, actually. There was something nice about it. About making something. And not... there's a difference, I think, between making content to be monetized, like making content to, this is going into the algorithm in order to generate ad revenue and help me secure my rent payment for next month and stuff like that. And then this, which is just... I'll just play some Castlevania and talk out my ass for a bit. And I don't have to worry about a script, and I don't have to worry about making a point or having anything coherent to say. I can just sit and word vomit. You can tell my accent there for a second. Word vomit. without having to worry about it. And there's something really nice and freeing about that I kind of needed today. So here I am. And the reason why I needed to feel a little freedom, in a sense, today is... it's the start of the month. It's payday, as it were, both for, well, not payday for YouTube creators yet. We get paid around the 21st from AdSense usually, but it's payday from Patreon. They have been processing pledges for a while now, and that's a stressful time. I have to say, because it's the start of the month, so all of my bills are coming in, and I have savings enough that I can cover all of them. I'm not in any kind of trouble or anything, but Patreon is a moody service sometimes. YouTube is my job now, pretty much. Like, I still do my consultancy work on various, projects and stuff on the side, and I still do, my art commissions and, whatever else I can get my hands on. I've always been a sort of... multidiscipline freelancer, but YouTube is the majority of my income now, both through ad revenue from the videos, which is a lot more than I ever thought it would be, albeit still, pretty modest, but mostly through Patreon, which is absolutely where I make the majority of my money. But Patreon is a moody service, or rather, Patreon isn't so much, but the services through which Patreon makes money are moody, and that is credit card companies and banks and PayPal and, whatever else people are using And every single month without fail, and it's not anyone's fault, every single month without fail, some pledges are going to be declined. Some of the money that you have been promised, as it were, by people is not going to come through. And there's all kinds of reasons for this. Like, sometimes it's just that there was an error with a credit card pledge, or that someone was using a PayPal account that was accidentally empty. And sometimes it's because they forgot to cancel a pledge. Like, they meant to cancel because their financial situation changed, or something happened that, I mean, I don't know about, and it's not really any of my business. And for whatever reason, they can't continue their pledge. All of this is completely fine. I don't blame anyone for it, because it's not anyone's fault. Like, it's stuff that happens, and if someone can't support someone on Patreon, there's no creator I know, including myself, that would ever be like upset about that and be like, oh, but you were supporting before, why aren't you supporting now? That was my money you took away. No, I've never met a creator who was like that. I certainly try my very hardest as a person to never ever be like that. So that's not a thing, but it's nerve-wracking because it's the time of month where, as a creator, you find out whether you get all of your pledges, and you can plan your budget around that, and you can make sure that you put some money aside if you're lucky to put in some savings or something, or if this is one of those months where you gonna have to consume some of your savings to cover a hole because 30 pledges got denied on Patreon for whatever reason that you don't know about. And that's happened before, and like it's nerve-wracking. So that's been on my mind. The reason it's been on my mind today is because today I've been doing the worst part of my job. The absolute worst part of my job. And that is sending messages and emails to people who support me on Patreon whose cards got declined and saying, hey, your card got declined. And if that was intentional, that's completely okay. But if it's not intentional, you may want to call your bank or, you know, your credit card company, or check up on whatever to make sure everything's okay and nothing's broken and you didn't unpledge any supports that you wanted to. And essentially, like, the part of it that I'm a debt collector. Like, for one day a month, Patreon makes me a debt collector, where I have to go around to the people whose pledges didn't go through, and I have to ask them about their personal financials, essentially. Like, I have to ask them, did you intend to unpledge? Or was it an accident? And is it something that you want to correct? Or would you like to unpledge for my Patreon? And I kind of need, if someone doesn't want to support the Patreon any longer, I kind of need them to unpledge. I kind of need them to delete that pledge, and not, because I budget based on what the number on Patreon says. And I really genuinely do need to know as accurate a ballpark as I possibly can how much money is coming in this month, so that I can plan my budget, so that I can manage my savings and not get kicked out of my apartment and have enough to pay my electric bill when that comes due every 3 months and stuff like that. Like, it's so once a month, every month, I'm a debt collector. I have to go around to people and say, where's my money? In polite terms, making very, very clear that they don't owe me anything, and I'm grateful for everything they give me, but if they could please check their payment settings and make sure nothing has gone wrong. And I'm giving people homework, essentially. I'm asking them to do work for me to make sure that they're giving me their money, and it fucking sucks. It's the worst. I hate it. I hate every second of it. I despise it. It's just, ugh. I love a lot of things about getting to be, you know, a YouTube dude and do this stuff for a living, but that part can go to hell and never return, because it feels so bad. It really genuinely does. And it's even worse when you have, like, depression and anxiety already. It's like, even worse when you have social anxiety sometimes too. Like, it's just not, it's bad. I hate it. So that's been on my mind today. And I hate talking about it, which is the worst part, because, like I said, doing just this Let's Play vlog thing of just playing Castlevania and being able to talk without needing to write a script or, you know, have a point or try to be critically analyzing anything, and I can just kind of talk and say what's on my mind. That's really, really nice. I like it. But I'm so scared to talk about money. because of the parasocial relationship. Now, if you don't know what a parasocial relationship is, it's essentially, it's a kind of one-sided relationship that people sometimes develop with media personalities. Like a classic example would be someone who, perennial perfect example, Logan Paul. Who has like he has his low gang, and they are like they're his crew, they're his army, they're his dudes, and he develops this very close emotional relationship with his audience. Even though he has millions and millions of people in his audience, he uses language and he treats them in a way, and he talks about them like family, like they're very close. And that's, you know, that's the textbook case of a parasocial relationship taken to its worst kind of most manipulative conclusion. That's very much the Logan Paul thing. And then you have the other kind, which is kind of accidental, where you have creators like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, like, who, as far as I know, are perfectly decent dudes, but they also have some fan bases that are extremely possessive of them and extremely fond of them. And Beyonce, as well, has a lot of people who have parasocial relationships with her, and Ariana Grande and stuff like that, with people who treat her like their close personal friends, even though she's never met them, and they're obviously just one of a million people who listen to her music. And the parasocial relationship is not always something that you can control. In fact, it's almost never something that you can control. I have people, I've now talked about that before, who send me very personal messages about, you know, about my, like, begging me for advice with, like, what kind of school should they go to, or talking about, you know, some of their emotional troubles and how they're so happy that I talked about my depression because it helps them, and they talk about how their depression has been affecting them throughout their lives and stuff like that. Stuff that I can't respond to because I don't know them. I've never met them. We don't know each other, but from their perspective, they feel like they know me pretty well, and that they understand me pretty well, and so naturally, I should be able to understand them as well. And that's, again, it seems to be just kind of a natural way that humans do form relationships with media personalities. But the reason why I bring it up specifically for me is in relationship to money, is that if I were to make a YouTube video about I can't pay my electric bill this month, then even if I never ever say anything about I would like you to help me pay my electric bill, or that I would like you to send me money, or I would like you to do this, or I would like you to pledge to my Patreon, or whatever, even if I never say a word about that, even if I don't post a Patreon link or a PayPal link or anything in the video description, even if I never ever bring up the subject, broach it in any way, or even hint at the idea that I might want someone to pay my bills for me, I can't say for sure that there isn't somebody who would do it, who would pay my bills for me. I can't say for sure that someone won't go to the Patreon and suddenly pledge like $100 because I made a video where I talked about how I'm sad and I'm anxious because I can't necessarily pay my electrical bill this month. I can't know that for sure, that someone won't do that, and therefore, I can't say for sure that if I make a video about how I can't pay my electrical bill, am I doing it because I feel like I want to discuss that part of my life, or am I doing it because somewhere in my mind I'm secretly hoping that someone will suddenly pledge a little bit more to the Patreon, or send me a little bit of money on PayPal? Like, how can I possibly decouple those things? How can I be sure that I'm not taking advantage of some kind of parasocial relationship? And how can I make sure that I don't induce feelings of guilt in people who aren't supporting me on Patreon, like who either can't, or who just, like, you know, it's not really a thing that they're willing to do generally because they, for whatever reason, they have private reasons that I don't have any business asking about or knowing about. They feel like they can't, or they won't, or they shouldn't support on Patreon. Am I inducing guilt in them for doing that? Like, am I manipulating them in some subtle way, even if I don't mean to? Even if it's just subconscious that I'm not even really thinking about it, but it's just kind of there in the back of my mind and I never noticed it. Can I be sure of that? And the answer to that is no. I can't know for sure that that part of it is never ever part of my considerations. Like, you can't ever fully know yourself, and that's anxiety inducing, is to never quite know if. And even now, talking about this here to you now in this vlog, am I legitimately expressing my fears, which have been on my mind all day? As from my perspective, this has been on my mind all day, like, and it's been what I've been thinking about, and I feel like I really want to talk about it and express it just to get it out of my head. But am I manipulating someone right now into thinking, oh, I should probably give him some money? He seems like a nice fellow. He seems genuine. He seems honest. He seems like he deserves financial support. Is that happening right now? I genuinely have no way to tell. And that's why I hate talking about money, because the moment I bring it up, I have to reckon with that. Like, I have to make an honest assessment of that. Like, to what extent can this be manipulative? To what extent could this make someone, you know, give me money that they weren't necessarily intended to? What extent is this abusing my relationship with my audience? Am I overthinking this? I'm sure. Like, I'm sure people will listen to me talk about this and go like, Jesus Christ, dude, just calm the fuck down and stop overthinking things so much. And fortunately, I can't. And I also feel that it's a moral responsibility to overthink things like this a little bit. Like, I don't have like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm not a super popular. I'm not a Markiplier. I'm not a Jacksepticeye. I'm not a Logan Paul in levels of popularity. I'm not a PewDiePie. So it's not like. And I don't have giant audiences of 12-year-olds like who are gonna go out and try and steal their parents' credit card to support me or something like that. That's not the issue. But I do have some subscribers, and I have an audience, and I feel like I have an emotional and ethical responsibility to at least try not to accidentally or intentionally manipulate them. And to be honest about this kind of stuff, and to be conscientious about it. And talking about money is really hard for that reason. And when I can't talk, since I can't talk about money, I haven't really felt free to discuss the anxiety about the Patreon each month. That, like, declined pledges scare the shit out of me, because holy shit, what if that declined pledge is never coming back? What if I'm gonna keep losing more and more money, and all of a sudden nobody supports my Patreon, and it's not sustainable anymore, and I can't do this anymore, and this whole thing was just a pipe dream, and I'm never gonna get it back. Like, those anxieties come roaring back. Because that's not your responsibility to deal with. It's not your job. You're not responsible for my welfare. I am. And anyway, I'm kind of losing track of my train of thought, but yeah, it's been on my mind a lot today. You can tell. I like this bit of the game. There's something wonderfully cruel about it. Yeah, it's just been on my mind. I've been thinking about it a lot. I guess that was all I really wanted to say. Yeah. Thanks for listening.